أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Seek refuge with Allah from Satan, the rejected enemy, with Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. All praise is due to Allah, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, Lord of all, the system of knowledge, master of the day of judgment. Thee alone do we worship, thee alone we seek for aid and assistance. Guide us to the straight way, the way of those on whom you have bestowed your grace, not those upon whom your wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brother Imam. I just want to get started by saying welcome to Study Al-Islam. I am your sister and friend, Sister Fitrah Muhammad. I am off of mute. So today's Study Al-Islam is in two parts. Before I begin, let me say Happy Mother's Day to everyone on the line. Yes, every day is Mother's Day, but we're not giving back any days that are especially dedicated to us. So we accept this wholeheartedly with much grace and appreciation. So today's Study Al-Islam is in two parts. The first hour is dedicated to opening weekend schools, and our guest speaker is Dr. Lynne Beyah El-Amin Muhammad. I have known her and her family for decades. She is a friend. Her work in education and her commitment to this community is unwavering. Her bio is in the Study Al-Islam newsletter that was emailed to you yesterday. If you did not receive the newsletter, visit studyalislam.com and subscribe. The second hour is dedicated to working and living in Dubai. Our guest speaker is Dr. Jalila Muhammad Duke. Dr. Jalila is also very special to me. She and my daughter were best friends and classmates at Claire Muhammad School, graduates together in Chicago. I'm honored to welcome her to Study Al-Islam and to support the good work she is performing. She is an intergenerational leader by Allah's guidance and permission. Please place your questions in the chat box, and Dr. Lynne and Dr. Jalila will answer your questions at the end of their presentation, inshallah. So I want to welcome Dr. Lynne to Study Al-Islam. And Dr. Lynne, we are ready to hear and learn from your years of experience in education and community life.
Assalamu alaikum to all who can hear my voice. I pray Allah that all of the mothers who are with us today are enjoying their day. As Sister Fitrah said, this is designed so that the Mother's Day is good for, acknowledging our presence and what we do, but it's also every day is Mother's Day.
Amen.
And with that, inshallah, my screen is being shared. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. The focus of my program, my presentation today, is to share with all of us the benefits of opening weekend schools, but I'm going to approach this from the standpoint of weekend schools as well as full-time schools if communities are available to do so. And my subtopic today is nurturing and providing a foundation for our children. So the opening of these schools, inshallah, will help to do that. I am currently the principal of the New Medina Islamic School System, and also I run a program that I founded called the Stream Labs. I can give you more information on that in the future, inshallah, if you're interested.
Dr. Lynne, can you re-share your screen because I don't see the visual?
Hold on, please.
And while we're waiting for you, Dr. Lynn, I just want to share with the audience that the reason that I've placed emphasis on opening weekend schools, because we cannot wait to open full-time schools. Our children need to have an Islamic environment where they feel safe and are able to learn about this way of life that we have taught them and teach them about, called Al-Islam. And so, yes, we want full-time schools, but I found that so many communities across this nation, in our community, don't have weekend schools and they don't have full-time schools.
Shukran, Sister Fitrah, for that. Is my screen sharing?
No,
You still don't see it?
no, ma'am. So at a minimum, if we can't open a full-time school, let us at least open a weekend school. There you are. I think, Marsha, is she? Yes, we're ready, Lynn.
Okay, all right, alhamdulillah. Okay, I do apologize for that. All right, blessed Mother's Day to all. So I wanted to begin with a reminder to us that in the Quran, Allah, one of the things that Allah shares with us in the Quran is that the Prophet was instructed to free those people that they were fighting against, prisoners of war, if you want to call them that, if they educated others. And that's one of the things that the Quran does to help us understand the importance of education. And Imam Wartadi Muhammad, he said in the 80s, he was addressing different components of the community. And one of the things that he said is, you who study psychology, the development of society, you definitely will agree with me, because I'm not only speaking with respect for my knowledge, for what I know, but I'm also speaking with respect for science and the science of human life and nature and society. And what he said after he put that caveat out there for us to acknowledge and to see how important his words were is that we are a new people. We didn't, as we are now, we did not exist before. We, the people who are descendants of the individuals who were forcibly brought over to the United States and put into servitude, into slavery, and then the freedom, we gained our freedom without a lot of the things that we needed to help us adjust to living this life after years of slavery, decades of slavery, centuries of slavery. We are a new people coming into Al-Islam, being aware of our roots, being aware of our God-given right to follow and practice the deen the way we have been taught. We are a new people. So in saying that, he says, we don't think the same as our ancestors, as the Africans. We don't think the same as many of our captors, who majority of them happen to be Euro-Americans. We don't think the same as Arabs. We don't think the same as other Asians. We have a unique way of looking at things. And so as we learn Islam, Al-Islam, as we learn it, the way we're learning it and the way Allah is blessing us to incorporate it is uniquely different. So as we see this, how do we deal with that? Well, I want you to consider in our DNA, we have our ancestors that go all the way back to the beginning of time, but we also have our current situations that has happened in these years that we've been, and as a people, we've been in the United States. But we also have an environmental component, which is the environment that we're growing up in. And so a combination of what's in our DNA and a combination of what's in our environment helps us be the persons that we are. And so if we're in an environment, even though we may have this DNA that goes back to the beginning of time, but we also have those blemishes on our DNA, and we have this environment that says, yes, you're free to be able to do whatever, we know the reality is that internally, within our minds, within our intellect, within our souls, there's some things that are hindering us from progressing and moving forward. And these are the things that have been recognized. Now, prior to enslavement, many of our ancestors came from the continent of Africa and the central and the western section of Africa. One of the things that was used at that time to teach was oral tradition. And the oral tradition basically was an elder or elders or people who were noted to be knowledgeable about whatever the concepts were, would cluster the children together and orally tell them a story, show them and get them engaged in activities where they were dealing with hands-on type of learning. They would go out into the wilderness. They would go to different places and build and work on this and work on that. So there was a whole lot of hands-on, there was a whole lot of auditory, there was a whole lot of visual learning going on at that time. Okay, what happened when we got here? A lot of that stopped. First of all, we weren't educated on things that would advance us. We were educated on things that allowed us to function within that community. And secondly, the education was just to focus on the specific things, not to give us the freedom to think outside of that space. While we were being enslaved and not getting the best that we could, other people across the planet were also going through some changes. Just an example, St. Thomas Aquinas, during the days that he was functioning in Europe, they had a lot of people that couldn't read. They wanted to keep them servitude, not in the same way we were slaves, but keep them in a servitude type of a position. They put the entire Bible on as art on the stained glass windows in the churches. That's why the stained glass windows were there, was to teach them the stories of the Bible. They didn't try to give them language. They didn't try to give them writing and reading. They let the higher ups do the reading. They only gave them the parts of the story that they wanted them to see, to keep them following what it is they wanted them to do. So when we came to the United States, some of that same practice was being done prior to Aquinas being here, but some of the same stuff was being done even when we were here. So it's still being done to this day. So is that the best education for us? We know that it is not. So what does that mean? What are we supposed to do with this? Well, we know we should open schools. We know that we should open schools. And Allah says that he's, in the Quran, he's given us these examples of the perfection that he has put into his creation. And the Sunnah, we know that a Muslim, as we do what we do, we seek to perfect whatever it is, because we're following that perfection that we're seeing modeled by the things that Allah has given us in the scripture. If we're trying to deal with the school and we want to educate our children because we recognize these gaps that exist in the educational system, it's not meeting our children's needs. And I only gave you a few of them. If we recognize this and we're not that, and that school is not able to provide them not only with the Islamic studies, but also with the intellect and the things that their minds need to be able to soar and grow, then let's, and we can't be fair to them and just to the things that they actually need us to do to help them grow. If that's the case, then let's do a weekend school. Let's do a smaller program so we can at least get that started with them. Not just to leave them to the vices of whatever's going on around them, but to at least get that started with them. This is from Imam Muhammad from 1986. When I used to teach for the large system here in the city of Chicago, the Chicago Public School System, I had children from the Polish community. Those children would actually go to Polish school on the weekends, in this afternoon after school. They would come to our school during the day, but they would go to the Polish schools in the afternoon and on the weekends so that they could be solidified with others just who had a similar background as they did. They could be solidified. And when they came to our school, they know each other. They knew each other already because they had that bond. And it allowed, and even if you were not in the Polish school in this community, you were in a Polish school in another community, it allowed you to have a commonness. And so there was, your friends were there, your buddies were there. Yes, you gained new buddies and new friends, but this gave you a foundation to start from. And you held on to the heritage that your parents, that your grandparents and those who were teaching in the public school were sharing with you, the languages, the culture, the things that were important. And so as an adult, you continued that. And they actually taught their teenagers, their juniors and seniors in high school, they already had the concepts. They taught them the skills on how to teach the younger children. And this is a practice that, inshallah, if you're not already doing it and you don't already have a program, that you may want to consider the timing, the way that they make it work for them. And again, because they're bringing the teenagers into it, it's helping with that hierarchy over time. They're seeing the onus. I'm a part of this. They're seeing the responsibility. It's my responsibility to make sure that this heritage continues. So if we cannot do the full program, Imam Muhammad said, if we can't do what he called a universal level of putting Islamic education into our schools, if we can't do that, he recommended that we do the weekend program. And during the weekend program or the after school program, we would be building so that we can get to the point where we can do this. Now, what did he mean by universal education? Or the universal level of Islamic studies? Islamic studies is not just during an Islamic studies period. It's stretched across the curriculum. It is not just the Arabic during Arabic time. It is stretched across the curriculum. The Arabic includes Quranic Arabic and conversational Arabic. So, and these are stretched across the curriculum. The math is not just in the math class. The English is not just in the English class. It is spread across the curriculum. So even Islamic studies includes math and English and science and all of your disciplines and so forth and so on. So it's expanding this, and it helps the students understand the value of education in what they're planning to do in the future. It helps them see the overlap in education so that they can see how all these pieces, inshallah, fit together. But again, if we can't do the full program, we can at least start with the weekend program. And maybe it does include some math. Maybe it does include some English, because we recognize that these children that we are teaching need the math and they need the English. So we're doing the Islamic studies, we're doing the Arabic, we're doing the math and the English or whatever the skills are, and we're making sure that we're helping them see that overlap. So how do you do this if you are new? How do you do this if you are not a school that has been, you know, in existence for years and years and years? You don't have the wherewithal to hire a whole lot of staff. Your building may be small and it may not have the capacity to hold everybody. When we started the school, when I wasn't here, wasn't even born yet, but when the school started in Chicago, it started in locations like homes. A home, maybe the living room, the kitchen of this person's home, the living room of that person's home. And they took the children in. Sometimes the homes were not that close to each other. So there was transportation that would take them around. Different teachers focused in on different things. I have a strength in this, you have a strength in that. So we shared. And as we shared, we gave them the instructions that we need and that they needed. And of course, I said we as teachers, I wasn't there. I'm just speaking as though I was physically there. I was there in spirit. But when you are teaching, you as the teacher, you are also learning. So we are learning from each other. I'm learning while I'm developing the lessons. I'm learning while I'm teaching the lessons, because as you ask me questions, it's teaching me information that I need. If you don't have the academics and you do want to do this, there is a program called the New Medina Schools, Islamic school system. And that program has a curriculum that is ready to be used. It is a virtual curriculum. It could be used for homeschooling. It could be used for the schools in our areas, our centers, our masjids, and we can use this curriculum to take care of some of the content that we can't do because we don't have a staff for it. As long as we have someone who can sit with the children and work with them, the curriculum is pretty much self-existing. The school does offer support for those that need more support, and we are working to enhance our Islamic studies component. We build it as needed, so that we can make sure that we're giving the children what they need. So with that, I am going to wrap up by saying, let me say this one point before I say this. When we're educating children, we can either educate them to help them be free, or we can educate them to help them fall within a system that's going to lock their arms, tie their hands together, possibly bonding them to the point that they cannot be free. Our goal when we're teaching a curriculum that's guided by Islamic studies, Islamic principles, specifically guided by Allah's words in the Quran, when we are teaching that type of an education, we are freeing them. There was a book that I was reading. I was preparing for a class for a university biology class. And as I was preparing, I came across this book. Scientists have said, who are Muslims, that being a Muslim has helped them see beyond what's directly in front of them. They understand the why. They understand the how much, much better by looking at the way Allah presents things in the Quran and taking that to their profession, and It helps them become better scientists, better individuals to do what they have to do. Imagine if every single child had this type of education, be they from a Muslim background or a non-Muslim background. But that is not the goal. The goal of our culture is to make you a good worker, a good worker. My last point, I was told by a person who was seeking a grant. They said, we are trying to get people, we're about to apply for this grant, and we want the government to give us money to create a smart grid. We need people to climb ladders, use screwdrivers, and screw in the connectors, screw the connectors together. That's why we have you here, teachers. I got up and I walked out. My goal in teaching my children was not to only have them learn how to climb a ladder and how to screw in the screw. When I told the person who followed me out the room, who was part of organizing the program, that I was not trying to groom my children to be only ladder walkers or climbers and screwdriver holder, people holding screwdrivers and using them, she said, oh no, we have a special role for you and your children because your children are smart. I still walked away because you're discriminating against all these other schools in here because you are deeming that these children, that these teachers are not preparing these children to be smart. Inshallah, we want all of our children to have every opportunity that's available for them. So teaching them with this Islamic studies background, giving them that is indoctrinated in all of their classes, gives them, inshallah, the strength to become that person. If you want to know more about New Medina, I have a QR code here, and I'm going to put an email in the chat, and you can shoot us an email. If you want to start your own program and you need guidance, you need help on it, I can't tell you exactly what to do because it depends on your site. We as a team with the New Medina schools, we can guide you through based on your location, your students, your teachers. So if you're interested in getting assistance with this, please reach out, and I will put the email in the chat. Assalamu alaikum. Are there any questions?
So, Lynn, I do want to go back to the point of when I was doing the research on schools in our community, I found so many cities that, so many areas that are working to open full-time schools, but don't have a weekend school. I want you to speak to the importance of that because you come from an environment of education in a community that was very strong in the social and cultural enrichment.
So when we came up, as Sister Fitrah said, we had, from a child's mind, we had friends. We had friends who, we had similar educational backgrounds. We had similar teachers that we can, we bonded with. We bonded with each other, our friends around that. And that friendship made me seem like I was part of a cluster. And as I saw those yearbooks across the country, and I saw the other schools that also had graduating classes or classes that reflected the year that I had already gone through or was about to go into, that meant a lot to me. When we did our science fairs, we knew that some of these other schools were doing their science fairs. So whether the school is large or small, to have that camaraderie means a lot. And to come together for the Sister Claire Muhammad School Week, Sister Claire Muhammad Historical Week or month, depending on what the school is honoring, to come together for those events, whether we're doing it virtually or just to know that another city is doing the same thing, that means a lot to a child. When I had my children in our school, they did the same thing. When the school closed here in Chicago, myself and another sister, we opened a school. It happened to be in my home to start with. And alhamdulillah, we grew to the point that we had to move out of my house. But when we did that, our children to this day, they have friendships. They have camaraderie that causes them to be able to share. So it's not just mommy and daddy taking me to the masjid or the Islamic center, and then we go here for Eid, and we're doing this and that, whatever, stretched out across the year or stretched out across the week, depending. But it's the fact that I have these friends, and these are lifelong friends that my children have made, lifelong friends that I have made. So, and I was 2 when my parents converted. So I did not grow, I wasn't born in a Muslim community, but that's basically all I knew because of the school, because of the school. So it's imperative that they get it from that standpoint. Now, when I went to college, and now I'm in a world where it's a little different, I realized that the education that I got from that school and many of my teachers, and I'm not saying we are going to do this today because we have more resources available to us, but many of my teachers did not have a high school diploma, let alone a university degree. But when I walked into that university, not only did I pass certain tests to say I was ready for more advanced classes, not only did my teachers recognize that my answers and my questions represented a person with an intellect, not only did I have the opportunity to see the value of the education, so I took more and more classes that would enhance my background, enhance my skill set. But when I got out there and I started working in my profession, as I even selected the profession that I was going to work in, having that Islamic studies background provided me with an insight that has not stopped to this day. I was talking to a physician, working with a client. I was talking to a physician, and I was telling the physician what we were doing to help this client do well in their medical problem. This physician stood back and said, "Wow, critical thinking skills. You would be amazed how few times I see anybody, colleagues, people helping the patient with critical thinking skills." Where did that come from? And that's not the first time that someone said something like that to me. All I can attribute it to was having the Quran in my educational experience. And growing up in the Nation of Islam, that was limited to a point because we weren't encouraged to take the Quran and read it every day. But imagine with Imam Muhammad's guidance to us and how we are now using the Quran. Can you imagine how strong our children will be in the future if they're not already getting this education?
Well, Marsha, if you could take down the Lynn, can you take down your
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, but we are seeing that. Our generation, your and my generation, Lynn, we see that in our generation, in the generation behind us. They have PhDs. They are at the table. They are taking leadership positions. This was all from the foundation that was laid by the pioneers and those who came behind our pioneers. So my point is that I can't tell communities what to do, but my point is that we're throwing the baby out with the wash if we're waiting to open full-time schools and we don't have a weekend school.
That's correct.
I mean,
That's
we are
correct.
losing our babies, and well, I won't say losing them, but what I'm saying is that we've made so much progress. We want to continue to make that progress because we know where that progress came from. And that came from a strong family, community, a support that we learned and bonded together.
So
and you know that. Mm-hmm.
My son, my youngest child, I stopped the program that we were running here in Chicago after the schools closed because of the court situation, the probate court situation.
Right.
I ran into a situation where I had to stop our program. My youngest son is the only one who has not been educated within an Islamic school system.
Mm-hmm.
He got it from me, but he wasn't in that space with as I mentioned, the friends and the teachers and all of that. He got it from his mother. He got some of them from his father, but not from the school. To this day, I am still working with that young man to give him some of what he missed along the way. I did the best that I could while he was under my roof before he went away to college. I did the best. I worked at his high school. So I was able to counter some of the stuff that he was encountering at the high school. He didn't have that shield because he hadn't been in our school. So I, in his school, was countering some of what he was going through, which is good. I was there. Alhamdulillah, I was blessed to be able to be in that space. But suppose I wasn't, he would have missed out. So there's so many things that our school offers. And again, if you can't do the full-fledged, at least start the progress. And when it's time, and it'll be easier for you to open your doors. You'll already have your parents. You will already have a record. Your teachers will already be seasoned, inshallah. You may have to hire a couple more, so you got to work with them too. But don't, I agree with you. Don't wait. Don't wait.
So we have some questions, and I want to get to those. One sister asked, which is Islam proper to say weekend schools are strong end schools? I mean,
I think it's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
I think the strong end is the best way to say it. Until we get more people to understand what that means, then we use this language, weekend. But you are right. The sister, when I first heard it, I said to myself, I was going to start using that, and I have been using that. For this presentation, I used what's more commonly understood, but yes, strong end is the best. Anything that's related to teaching Al-Islam, anything that's related to empowering these children we should look at it on the strongest side. So we know W-E-E-K does not mean the same as W-E-A-K, but they sound similar. And we don't want to put that mindset out there. This is not a strong program. This is one of the strongest things that they should be doing every day. And the Polish children, they said that. They said that to me about their program that they were doing on the weekends.
I agree with you, but I don't like either name. I don't like strong end either. It sounds quite weird to me, but what do I know? I'm not an educator.
But as an educator,
I'm an educator as a mother, but I don't like either name. So I'm dependent on you creative educators to come up with a name that would be something better representative. Strong end. That sounds like somebody that's going to bully me. So I don't like either one. Okay, so let's move on.
Intellectually strong, not physically strong, intellectually strong.
Do we have any hands raised, Marsha, for anyone that want to ask questions to Sister Dr. Lynne?
Yes, I have Sister Katara. So let me see.
Please.
Sister Katara, if you can raise your hand once again, because she lowered it. There we go. Okay, hold on. Let me give her permission to speak.
Please state your question and welcome. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is not a question. I just want to say well done to both of you. Fitrah, it was such a timely topic. Dr. Lynne will be in contact.
Yes,
Would love to see your information. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So, Dr. Lynne, you'll be hearing from the program out of Masjid Muhammad. The audience will be hearing from the program that Sister Katara heads. She's one of the co-heads of it, but we have a very strong weekend strong and educated and whatever, and at Masjid Muhammad, and that we're very proud of the work that Sister Katara and others are doing. Do we have anyone else on the line that would like to ask a question? Thank you, Sister Katara. We really appreciate you.
Yes, I have Sister Zakia Hassan. I'm going to add her.
Yes.
Sister Zakia, you can go ahead and come off of mute.
Inshallah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Allahu Akbar.
Please ask your question.
Yes, I'm going to say the same thing. Questions don't need. That Sister Lynne, beautiful words, beautiful encouragement. But I'll say this also, when it comes down to the Clara Muhammad weekend schools, we also need to make sure that we are introducing our babies when they go into that public school. Whatever's being said, we have to be able to erase, inshallah, and constantly give them, oh, is that what the teacher said? Well, let me explain it like this, so that they will know, because it's constant ugliness that's being taught to our children or erased from our children because they don't want to give them the truth. So it's on us. And when we have our children know that the first time that baby comes to this world, we say La ilaha illallah to that baby, we're teaching them, we are giving them the foundation that they need. So when your child is being raised from your arms to walking, we're giving them that strength, inshallah. They can
Thank
go
you.
out there and they can stand.
Thank-
Alhamdulillah.
Thank
Yes,
you,
ma'am. Thank you.
Sister Zakia. Yes,
I
that's even more reasons why we need a place for our children to come together on a Saturday and Sunday and bond as a community driven by culture and language. Go ahead, Lynn.
I know from experience that when you provide the children with a strong foundation and someone says something that is countering what they know to be fact, or they know to be true, when they start hearing that, it raises an eyebrow, it raises an issue, and they will bring it back. So don't just have the primary children in the weekend / strong end / power school. I'm going to use the word power school right now. Don't just have your young ones in there. Have those middle schoolers, have those teenagers. Don't stop it when they go to the public schools or whatever schools they're going to. Let it continue. This could be a debriefing moment for them. This could be a sharing. How do we navigate our way through this? There are some schools that said when before the pandemic hit, Allah fixed this one. Before the pandemic hit, they were saying you can't wear things on your head. You have to get permission to wear stuff on your head. This is in the public sector, because children they were abusing that. So instead of them dealing with the abusers of the concept, hats turned sideways and whatever, instead of them or bandanas that represented a different gang or different things like that, instead of them dealing with the problem areas, they made this blanket statement. So our students who were Muslims and practicing, we put together a thing, and we went to administration, and they said, okay, you are excluded, you are excluded, you are excluded. But why do we have to push that? Why do we have, but we were ready to go there, but why do we have to go there? You're not dealing with the cause of this rule. You're dealing with us who happen to be people who are wearing our scarves, our hijabs for a different reason. So, they need that debriefing. They need that power. Suppose I wasn't in that space. Suppose I wasn't there to empower the Muslims there. They wouldn't have been able to push against that, and they would have had to succumb to it. So, or be in trouble with administration. So please, let's consider, don't just do this. If the weekend program is what you're doing, don't just do it for the babies. Those older ones need you just as much as the babies do. Now the babies need you. And when we do it, please be careful of the literature you're using. Let them be in that literature. Don't give them images and pictures of, and I'm not trying to, be a separatist or anything, but let them see themselves there.
Of course.
Let them hear the words according to what they hear at home. Don't use language, audios and visuals that are representing other cultures that are strong in their deen. And we want them to be strong in their deen. We want them to. We're not taking anything away from them, but they gave these concepts, these images, these sounds to their children. Give our children what reflects them, because once you do that, I now have a strong sense of self. I am me. I am me. I'm a Muslim. I'm a Muslim, but I am this Muslim. This is who I am. Let them establish that first, and then, inshallah, let them branch out and hear other concepts, see other individuals. Let them learn of self first.
That's why it's also important that we have oral history in these
Yes.
classes. I mean, the oral history is about us specifically, and
Yes.
our journey into this life that we have accepted, that Allah has blessed us with. So oral history is very important, that we include our pioneers in telling the stories about how we got here. That's very
Yes.
important. Okay, we have another hand raised, but I'm going to ask everyone, because we're coming to an end, please ask your question and let Dr. Lynn answer it. Go ahead. Go ahead, Latifa.
Thank you. This is great that the children are getting the extra education, no matter when it is the necessary education. What are we doing for parents and caregivers that are home and can't assist the children? They don't understand themselves in order to help them get to where it is that we want them to be.
So having a staff to be able to provide all the support is great, but you're right, sometimes it's not there. What I've seen work, what I've found work with my own experience and what I've seen to work is you let the parents, the caregivers, help in the ways that they can. You may have to divide your children up into developmental groups as opposed to grades. If you don't have enough children to have a full first grade, but you have so many in kindergarten and so many in second, you may have to divide them up. And there's ways of doing that. It may not be that I'm in that room the entire day, but or the entire hour, but I'm there for this hour because this is what I happen to be strong in. So here I might be with the older children, not developmentally older, but like 1 or 2 years above my chronological age. And you do the same thing with the children who might not quite be there. I don't want to say that's the rule of thumb. I'd have to see and hear what's going on. Part of my background, I have a master's and some of my doctorate experiences in special education. I have science, I have special education, I have curriculum development. I just took a whole lot of classes, but I have skill levels that could help in those areas. So if you are trying to figure out how to deal with the parents not being able to assist and spreading your teachers out, what can you do with your parents to help them, the lessons, the load on the teachers, reach out to me. I did put my email in the chat, inshallah. Reach out to me and I will give you, and if I can't do it, I'll find someone to give you assistance with that.
But I also want to say, Latifa, to everyone that's on this, there's 125 people that we have on here right now. Right now, we have an excess of classes and programs coming out of our community.
Yes.
There is something for everyone. And especially since COVID, we are now a virtual community. We have really become even more unified because we can take classes in San Francisco and where Lynne is, in Washington, DC, in North Carolina. There is no reason why every parent doesn't have access to some kind of Islamic education from a scholar, someone qualified in our community. There is no excuse. And if parents want something, some kind of counseling, some kind of Islamic education, there are too many programs being planned by scholars in our community every day of the week.
And many of them are virtual. Many of them are virtual.
Many of them are, and starting with the Islamic Learning Institution,
Yes.
where Anissa is, down with Nadia Ahmed, that Imam Qasim created. Imam Fahim has got prayer, beginning prayer program. It's Masjid Muhammad's weekend school, weekend strong end madrasa. They're virtual. There's no reason why you can't find something that is applicable for your child. Let's move to the next question. How important?
I wanted to ask if it's okay. A brother asked a question and I'm not clear on what he's asking.
Okay.
I believe this is Brother Wali Shahid.
What is his question?
His question is about the sister's scarf. He has his hand raised.
We can address where Brother Wali. Let me see. Brothers can choose to wear a kufi, but sisters have the difficulty of African Americans who aren't Muslims tying their heads as a matter of fashion and act differently. Please advise.
And I'm wondering, is he saying that their action is wrong
no, he's asking to please advise. And let me just say this to you from the Quran. Allah says we are not over each other's affairs. That's it. I want to end on that note. Allah tells us in the Quran that we are not over each other's affairs. So to you be yours and to me be mine. And we will answer to Allah for everything that we do. And if we remember that, then that will put our conduct in check. I remember Imam Muhammad said, may he be in the highest place in paradise. He said, if you really believe that there was a hellfire, you would watch yourself. You would watch your conduct. And so I want to move to and Brother Wally, I hope that answers your question. How important is it to have guidance counselors and career specialists on the faculty of Strong End schools? Because we're getting ready to bring this to an end. Go ahead.
Yes. So it is extremely important to have someone who has a background in that. And if they're not physically in the space, they can be available via email, via Zoom meetings, etc. Counseling is important for a whole lot of different reasons. And you will find if you do, we've done this before, you'll do a survey of your community and you would be amazed at the backgrounds that are available. Some of the people that work in the public sector, they would not mind volunteering once they find out what you're doing, because you're helping. If those children are still in the larger school system, if they're in a public school or private school that's in the neighborhood or whatever, you'll be surprised how much they help you because you're helping them. You're providing those children with a background that's making them stronger students. They then become a role model for their peers with all of the support that they're getting. So that's helping them. So yes, they will be willing to help you. So it's amazing, not only within the Muslim community, there are resources that are available around you. So if you can't find them, let us know. And inshallah, pay attention to Study Al-Islam, pay attention to the Muslim Journal, and you'll see a lot of contact information with the schools that are already in operation and the programs. And just inshallah, you'll find the assistance that you need. I have a psychologist in my pocket. She's my half sister. I reached out to her and I said, I may need help with this. She said, let her know. So far, we haven't had to contact her, but she's there for us.
And that's what we have to learn to do, is work with each other. And now, you know, there are no more boundaries. We are one community, one ummah. We can call each other. We meet each other. The whole purpose of Study Al-Islam is to introduce you to people that you don't hear from on a regular basis. Now we know Dr. Lynne. So Dr. Lynne, do you have your information where people can reach you?
I'm putting my email in the chat again.
Yes.
It's
I'm gonna
challenge at New Medina.
We have more PhDs in this community than we almost equal to the name Muhammad. I mean, everybody I'm meeting, well, Allahu Akbar. Everybody I'm meeting has a PhD. It's almost like they're buying them. I mean, it is just amazing that we have so many educated people in our community. And I don't have any problems with partnerships and bridging the divide and the interfaith work that we do. But we have everything we need right in our own community. And everything begins at home first and then abroad, because there's a question on here, and this is going to be the last question, and we're going to move on to Dr. Jalila, another PhD student born in this community. He says, how important is it? Hold on, I think I lost it. He says, can you speak a little bit about us having our Islamic schools versus foreign Islamic schools?
What I said earlier about making sure that we expose our children to who they are, to their heritage, to their lineage, making sure that that happens as early as possible with them. I would start, before I give them anybody else's voice to hear, I would let them hear our imams doing the adhan. I would let them hear the Quran being read by our imams in Arabic and in English. or someone who has our dialect before I give them someone else's. Because if that's what they see and hear, then that's what they're going to think Islam is about. Because you are imprinting on them at that point. And Sister Fitrah mentioned the program by Sister Nadia that she started because of her husband, Imam Qasim Ahmed. His voice, and many others like him. That is from an African-American perspective. Imam Darnell Kareem. These people reciting the surahs, reciting the prayers, these are the voices they need to hear. And then after you are firm in who you are, and you are established, and yes, bro, do it. Go out. Yes, Allah says this earth is spacious. Listen, learn from others. Yes, but have your foundation first. Do you think that another culture would put the Imam Muhammad has said this numerous times in his lectures. Do you think another culture would sit their children under us before they know who they are? Is that doing that culture a service? It's not. So if we want to make sure our culture is firmly established, we had our roots just cut from underneath us during slavery. We are regaining who we are. And it was not popular to say, I'm from Mississippi. My ancestry is from Mississippi. My great grandparents were slaves. I put it out there. Yes, I have my doctor, my sister, engineer. We have degrees, yes, but our great grandparents were slaves. So it's okay for me to say that because that does not define me for who I am. But I came up in a home where I was taught that it was good to be me. This is okay. This is okay, not to be ashamed of. And when I walked into that college, I didn't do this for real, but I walked in there with my chest up. It's good to be me. I can compete with you. And you have no superiority over me because of your skin color, your nationality, none of it. I'm just as smart as you are, and in some cases a little smarter, some cases not so smart. But I recognize that I was a contender on that platform. And they have to feel good about that instead of, no, I'm not sure. My last point, Sister Fitrah, unless you want me to do something else. My son and I, not the one that did not grow up in our community, a school. My oldest, who was in our school up until he was in 7th grade. We were in New Orleans. He said, Mommy, watch how they're walking. The European Americans, the African Americans, the people visiting, the people who live there, the entire time. And when they came up to an African American who didn't have their head down, whoa, they didn't say it, but their facial expression, everything, they turned and they looked at you. You all, this was not in the 50s, 60s, 70s, last millennium. This was in 2019, right before the pandemic hit. That's how recent these young people had their heads down, walking like they were like, don't see me, you don't see me. That's not good. That's not good.
And we have to give credit where credit is due. It was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that kept us from becoming colonized. And so many of us that joined the Nation of Islam and everything that came after that. Yes, we know that he didn't teach us proper Islam. We know that. But what he gave us was a sense of ourself. He gave us that confidence that even in whatever we were learning may not have been exact, it still provided us with the inspiration and the self-assertion and to feel strong in a world where we were divided and weakened. So he prepared us. And as a result, you see the Lynnes of the world. You see the Jalila, whom you will hear next. You see the Naimas. You see all of our children. This generation behind us, they are a strong group of Muslims. They are a strong group of Muslim African Americans, and they stand on what they believe, and they accept their humble roots of their grandparents who came through the Nation of Islam, regardless to what everybody else thinks. Because remember this, when I lived in Saudi Arabia, Everybody had a story of their contribution to the growth and development of Islam. And we have our story, and we need to tell it. It didn't start with Imam Muhammad. I love him dearly, but it didn't start with him. It didn't start with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but that's where we got it from.
Right.
And we can't forget that. And we need to teach this conversation started with Sister Clara Muhammad.
Right.
And we need to remember those pioneers that came this way. Lynn, I'm gonna give you the last word. We're closing you out.
And more importantly, we need to remember, but we need to teach our babies. We need to teach our children. And so this concept of a school, period, no matter what size it is, no matter what size, they need to walk out of that school every day knowing I am who I am, that I have I have a history, I have a heritage. They have to know that. And they have to know that it's rooted in our deen, it's rooted in our historical history. They have to know. And once they know who self is, they can become the children that Sister Fitrah just identified. But they have to know who self is.
They can become like the next one you're getting ready to meet. Lynn, I want to say thank you for coming on. Thank you for all your hard work and commitment. I thank your family for the path that they paved for me and others like me who came behind them. So I just want to say that this community appreciates you, and we ask for your continued protection. Let's now bring on Dr. Jalila, who is a graduate from Claire Muhammad School in Chicago. She was born in this community. Her father was the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Sister Claire Muhammad. And she is exactly what we're talking about in terms of someone with self-confidence, someone who knows where she's going. Dr. Jalila, are you with us? She should.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Dr. Jalila,
Walaikum assalam.
and we want to get right on with your presentation. Please, whatever your opening statement is, we want to welcome you to Study Al-Islam and to a community that loves you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Fitrah. Thank you, as I can say, auntie, cousin, and all of that. I love you so much. Thank you for having me. Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. I bring you greetings from outside the Chicago area, and also partly in my work in Dubai. And so as I sit here in the Central Time Zone, I was just there a couple of days ago. I want to share something with you. But first of all, I want to thank Sister Lynne, Dr. Lynne, so much for her presentation. Having grown up as a member of the family, and my grandfather's work was so important. And then having my uncle 3 doors down from me, and having him take me to school, and Imam Worthy Muhammad being the supporter of our family for so many years. And he was, my time under the Nation of Islam was very brief due to my age, but the majority of my time was under my uncle's leadership. And I thank him for that. And I know that Allah has placed him in a high place in paradise. I have no doubt in that because of all the people that he touched. So as my uncle encouraged me to go to school and my father encouraged me to seek a doctorate, I did that. And so I want to share with you today another opportunity. And I look at it as a way of, as Sister Fitrah said, bridging the gap, but also bringing back what we learned and the financial benefits that we gain from an opportunity like this to continue the work of our school. So I don't see this as something that's different from what Sister Lynne has shared. I see this as another opportunity to enhance what we do for our community. So the school that I work with, I'm the director of the U.S. high school for School of Research Science. The school is in Dubai, and it is a private school. Let me share a little bit about the school, and it's going to give you some wonderful ideas for our schools as well. The U.S. high school, we are in the process of recruiting. We want to ensure that we have a proper foundation for our students at the school. It is a global school. It is a private school, but it is an Islamic school as well. And so with that, the school is seeking to recruit teachers with U.S. high school experience to inspire our youth. Let me slide forward, and hopefully you can see my screen.
We can, Jim. We can, Jim.
Great. So the mission and vision of the school is simply about educational excellence. It's enlightening young minds with the gift of powerful knowledge. The international standards are used. It is a standards-driven school. It's research informed, and they're sowing the seed for powerful knowledge. So this is SRS. The mission of the school includes the aspects of global citizenship, ensuring that students become citizens of the world. We want to inspire the youth and the community that we serve to promote moral, intellectual, physical, academic excellence, so that they can go ahead and have honorable achievements and contributions to the common good, the common good being that of El-Islam around the world. The values that they instill in the students center around diversity, inquiry, community, and excellence. And when we talk about the big family and individual care, our students receive a personalized education. Now, I want to show you just an image of the school. And as you can see, the school is incredibly beautiful. I want us to have the same here in the United States that there is abroad. It is incredibly beautiful, and it spans several city blocks in Dubai. This is just the entrance of the main school, but there are multiple campuses. There is a primary school. There's a high school for the British under the British curriculum, a primary school that's under the British curriculum, 9 through 12 American, as they consider American curriculum. We know that there's no such thing as American curriculum. However, there is the Common Core, and we use the American standards to teach our students. There is also a Discovery Center that is being built, which is a museum that is interactive, that the students will have access to. The interactive STEM, the Interactive Discovery Center will also be a museum in which the community can come and bring their children in at certain times. There's also a place for prayer. We have a mosque on the school grounds, and then there's other spaces and gardens for not only the students of the school, but the community. The school was established in 1998, and it has over 4,000 students. The images you see below are images of the students in the space, the sports centers. We have outdoor space as well as indoor. The picture above is the young men. They're in the STEM lab, the STEAM lab, which we just established even more. It's expanded. They're doing so much work around the sciences and ensuring that that is infused. And as Sister Lynne spoke about the Islamic studies and moral values being taught, they're taught within all discipline. You see the gentlemen, the seniors, wear their jackets very proudly. About us, if I can just share a little bit about the school. In order to recruit individuals, we wanted to give you some background as to how this works when you live and work abroad. What sets SRS apart is that you earn a tax-free salary that allows you to save and live comfortably. And so when I mentioned that this is not in contradiction of Sister Lynne's presentation, Dr. Lynne's presentation, I see us being able to learn and grow from others, but there's also the financial benefit as well. The salaries are complemented by an annual bonus based on an annual appraisal. So for example, if a teacher receives a good or very good there's a bonus based on her evaluation or his evaluation. The school also pays for accommodations for the staff, free rent, spacious accommodations. It is absolutely beautiful. I can attest to that. And that you can opt out if you choose to have your own living arrangements. You will receive a stipend for you finding your own accommodations. The school also provides benefits with handling the documents to ensure that you have proper documentation to live and work in the country, as well as the health care. On site, we have financial services, we have health care, we have an HR department, all on the grounds of the school. In America, we usually have to go to a district office. For those of us who taught for many years in the public school setting, there's the district, there's the state and such. Pretty much everything you need is housed at SRS. We also provide free pickup from the airport and an annual allowance for flight back and forth to America. As you can see, the students are very, very engaged. I tell you, I absolutely enjoy the students. There are students not only that are Emirati. Our school has one of the largest populations of Emiratis in any school in Dubai. However, we also have students from other countries. So teaching contracts are renewed every 2 years. For experience, those who have leadership opportunities, they're also there. There's an opportunity for advancement. And we do have some openings right now for a couple of our leadership positions. So who are we looking for? SRS US High School is looking for quality, high quality, serious committed candidates. In any school, you want to maintain stability. And so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for those expats who are experts in their field. As you can see from the images, there are a number of African-American females who work in the school. I'm proud to say that our young sisters are highly, highly intelligent and respected in our schools. The requirements: must have a bachelor's degree or more, and teaching in your appropriate specialization. And forgive me for the British spelling, as you see throughout the presentation. Their minimum of 2 years full-time teaching in American curriculum with Common Core background. We currently use the Massachusetts state frameworks. However, if you have taught in an American school and are accustomed to the Common Core standards in any state or next generation science standards in any state, that will be acceptable. You do have to have a minimum of 2 years of teaching experience. So we want you to join us in Dubai. The images that you see are the Museum of the Future, Burj Khalifa, and others. This is the old Dubai. Dubai is a mix of new and old. The innovation is there. Teaching opportunities abroad, give you something that you have never experienced. It broadens your horizon. It enriches you personally and professionally. And so if you are interested, please do send your CV, your resume, letter of application to the contact information below. And I will drop that also in the chat for you. And I am here to answer any questions that you may have. But I don't want you to miss this opportunity. If you've ever thought of living or teaching abroad, this is the prime time to do it. So thank you, Sister Fitrah. Thank you, participants. And at this time, I will take questions, any questions that you may have.
They can also send if for any reason they don't get to write this down, they can also send their information to me.
Yes.
I have been knowing Jalila. She and my daughter went to school together at Clara Muhammad School in Chicago. They graduated together. So I have been knowing her all her life. And it is just so nice to be able to be alive to support your work, Jalil. I want you to know that. And I can tell you from experience, I lived in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia for over a year, and I worked at a school. Don't let people fool you. They treat you very well.
Very well.
It's a myth that you're disrespected.
Mhm.
You're not when you understand who you are and what you represent, and you have the qualifications that Dr. Jalila just mentioned, that you're serious about what you're doing, that you're an expert, that you have the years of experience. So do we have any questions for Dr. Jalila?
And as the questions are coming in, I can just tell you,
Okay.
the Americans are well respected in Dubai, very well respected. It is premier service. When they say 5-star, they mean 5-star. The building itself, where the students are, our school, if I had the money to build something like that, and we will get there here in America, we will get there. I would do it in a minute. Just to walk into the facility, as we did at Clara Muhammad, which was a beautiful school. As we walk into the facility, how proud are you to be there and to know that people truly care? It is incredible, and I can't say enough about the experience you gain. Gain the experience and bring it back to the United States to further what we do here.
Let me
We had a
ask
couple of questions. I think
we do, but I want to ask you about
things.
single mothers who have the experience, who may have children. Are you looking to recruit, or are you able to hire single mothers with children?
Absolutely. You can be hired. And if you bring your child will attend school at the school for free. They do offer that to the employees. It may be, it's either free or 25% of the tuition. But as long as you're on that contract, your child can go to school with you. The housing will be provided for you as well. Dubai is extremely safe. I have walked around, I have left my purse. I tell you, when I say I feel comfortable and safe in Dubai, absolutely safe.
Absolutely.
You will not be harassed. There is no one, the crime is literally nearly nothing. It's very safe. And what a wonderful feeling to hear the call to prayer, to hear the prayers being said. I was just there, returned on Thursday night back to the States. And from my balcony in my 5-star hotel, I'm hearing, and I can see the masjid, and I can hear the Quran being read every day. It is absolutely wonderful. It is wonderful to be in a place where they say your name properly and where your name is common. Al Jalila Hospital is the hospital that's near the hotel where I stayed, and the Sheikh's daughter, that is her name. That is why the Specialty Children's Hospital is named after her. It is an incredible feeling, but it also validates what we are here in America under former Nation of Islam members, or members of the Nation of Islam, and the members of Imam Muhammad's community. It validates our upbringing, our teaching. We knew it, right? We always felt value. We always knew who we were, absolutely. But to go somewhere else and to see it, to walk in around Dubai and see the homes and see them look like the house that my grandfather built in Chicago, incredible. It's an amazing feeling.
I think also it's a very important point to point out, because of the international representation there. At the school that I worked there were 25 women from different Muslim countries. They are very interested in your history.
They are.
So you get a chance to exchange information, to share with them what your upbringing was, because many of them cannot believe that we are Muslims in America. They just don't really understand that. But you get a chance to hear their stories, and because everybody has a story of oppression. We are not the only ones with a story of oppression. And you get to hear this and appreciate it. Brother Imam Salim, I'm going to ask you to ask a question. And because I see you with your hand raised, please ask your question. You on mute. You're on mute, Imam Salim, and we know you don't know a lot about technology.
Okay.
Yeah, there you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Ask your question.
Did I teach Jaleel in Chicago?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
That's it. That's it.
Everyone needs to
Assalamu
know that
alaikum.
Imam Yusuf Salim was my daughter's teacher and Jalila's teacher, and they were the worst group in the whole school. The whole class of them.
But I was your A student.
Woo!
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, Allah Akbar.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I was part of your growing up.
Yes.
Allah
Yes, I thank you so much. I think of you often. I think of you often. Incredible teacher, wonderful support. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
Alhamdulillah.
We have another question. Talib?
Yes, assalamu
Yes,
alaikum.
go ahead.
Wa
Can you hear
alaikum
me okay?
assalam.
Yes.
Yes.
Over 30. Let's see.
No,
Oh,
can't hear
you
you.
just muted now.
I taught her in 1970.
Okay, there we go. Thank you very much for your presentation. Quick question. Do you have an English or ESL department or program or component for the Arabic speaking and non-English speaking students?
Yes, and so then that's exactly, so let me give you a little history about SRS. SRS, when the owner wanted to start the school, they approached my company that I was working for. And a couple of people, after about 3 weeks or so, they realized they didn't have the right fit with the consultant that was sent before. And then I was sent. And since then, I've been with them even after my departure from the company. The school itself, we built the academic plan. The students are Emirati. And so as you mentioned, English is a second language for them. They do speak English. It is not required that they speak that the teachers or staff that come from abroad speak Arabic, if that is not a requirement. However, in Arabic and Islamic studies, the students speak only Arabic in those classes, but in any classes other than that in the US section, they are required to speak English. It is quite difficult for some of the students. So English is a second language. I am absolutely looking for a teacher who has an ESL background to further that work. We have some staff members who have an understanding of it, but it is an area of professional learning for our team. And so if you do have that background, I will say also with this school, you can negotiate your salary. So negotiate and make sure that you mention the ESL background. It's very important that they have the strategies across the disciplines to support those English language learners.
I want to also share with you that while I was living in Jeddah and having this experience with these women, these Muslim women from all these different countries, not having to pay rent was such a relief. I cannot tell you the time that I had to be reflective. It is what inspired me to come back and do the conference on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad at Zaytuna College. You have no idea what it's like to be able to be paid for what you do and not have to pay rent.
Absolutely.
And your money is tax-free.
Absolutely.
And if you would, 2 weeks ago in Study Al-Islam, we had a story of Aida, who is from the San Francisco area. Her and her husband, both from our community, accepted teaching jobs in Kuwait. And she talks about the freedom, the not having the bills the everyday mundane life here in America that has given them relief. They've had a second child and they're living a wonderful life, able to come back to America and contribute. That is what's happening. And so, Jalila, I want to give you the last word. For those who are interested, if you didn't get the information, you can send me your information. I will forward it to Jalila, Dr. Jalila, to make sure that she gets it. But Dr. Jalila, I want to give you the last word, please.
Well, thank you. I want to say thank you so much for those of you who have stayed on with us. If you are interested in teaching abroad, living abroad, experiencing the world, many of our teachers spend their holidays and weekends in other countries. You can get to Egypt in a couple of hours, Jordan in a few hours, Abu Dhabi is 45 minutes away. It is quite an experience. My father spoke of this, and he always said, Allah blessed us with this world, and we should see in this world and see all of the wonders that he has created for us. This is an opportunity to do so. It's an opportunity to gain knowledge, teach, have the positive, the income that you can bring back. As Fitrah mentioned, Sister Fitrah talked about the free rent, the salary, the health care. You are well taken care of while living in Dubai. And come back to the States and contribute. Build the Claire Muhammad schools that we need, but build it with the knowledge and resources that you gain from abroad. I want to thank you for your time. Please do reach out. The candidate application vacancy site is in the chat. If you did not get that, or you have questions later, you want to share it with others, please do so. Reach out to Sister Fitrah. She knows how to get in contact with me. And we are looking to have teachers in place, ready to come abroad. I will be training in August. And so I look forward to having many of our Muslims from our community to show what we can do around the world. Thank you so much.
Before you leave, Jalila, I do want you to answer this question. Are there summer positions and half-year positions?
There are not summer and half year. We do now, the teachers do have summer program where they sign you on for a 2-year contract. If you want to earn additional money, you can teach summer school, but that's usually with someone who's contracted already, and then you earn additional money. There's stipends for all kinds of things, clubs, summer school, and others such as we have in the States. But so there's opportunity if you take on leadership position. So there's all kinds of ways to increase your base salary, but your base salary is also negotiable.
There was an age restriction.
Absolutely, non-Muslims. I see a question here. Are we also hiring non-Muslims? Oh, yes. Many of the teachers, again, it's a global, very diverse society in Dubai. You do not have to be a Muslim to teach abroad at this particular school. No, that is not a requirement.
Actually, Jalila, you don't have to be Muslim to teach in any of the schools abroad. In Jeddah, there were many non-Muslims. I actually met a sister from the Nation of Islam, and I knew her because she had her headpiece on like they wear in the Nation of Islam. And I saw her walking down the street one day, and I introduced myself to her. So, but there is an age restriction, which is why I had to come back home crying and screaming because I couldn't come back. Is there an age restriction in Dubai?
Not that I am aware of, but I can investigate that. Not that I am aware of. We have the Research School Institute director is in a more advanced years. One of the governors who serves on the board with me from Jordan, she's more elder sister. And so, no, not that I am aware of. It has never been an issue. It has never been an issue.
Okay, so I think we have come to the end. We want everyone to enjoy their day, pamper those moms that you have.
Yes.
And I want to just thank everyone. Jalila, I want to just say we're so proud of you, and we want to support your work, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to continue to inspire you and to protect you and to just keep you growing as you have. I see Ma'am Salim clapping because we've been knowing you all of your life, and you have made us very proud of you.
Thank you.
So inshallah, we will keep in touch. We will be.
Yes, yes, inshallah, inshallah. Thank you, everyone.
No, thank you. So we're going to bring this to an end. I want to just ask everyone to please remember to donate to Study Al-Islam. I have lost one of my main supporters, Naima, who is preparing to release an album. And she did a lot of volunteer work. And so I have had to bring on some new people, and I'm so thankful for Marsha, who is our new technical person. Marsha, put yourself online so everybody can see you. And thank you for making it possible for Study Al-Islam to come on and giving us the technical support we need. But I do want you to all remember that to keep the program going, we do need donations, although I don't like to ask, and you know that's not something that I don't usually ask for. With that said, we are going to end. We're going to ask Imam Sharif to close us out if he's still with us.
Yes, ma'am.
You are, please.
Assalamu once again. We close with dua. Oh Allah, bless us to seek your light. Oh Allah, bless us to acknowledge that you are the light of the heavens and the earth, light upon light. Oh Allah, perfect us for guidance to your light. Oh Allah, guide us, bless us with balance as we reflect your light in the public. Bless our homes and our sanctuaries to be lit with your light. Oh Allah, grant that we be of those whom neither traffic nor merchandise can divert us from prayer, charity, nor from the practice of what is just and fair. Oh Allah, bless us to understand the things that endure. Good deeds are best in your sight, as rewards and best as a foundation for hope. Allow our hope to keep us on the path of trust and great expectation as we come closer together as a human family. Oh Allah, grant us that we guide and do justice in the light of truth and not be used as an advocate by those who betray their trust. Oh Allah, bless us to stand out firmly for justice and witnesses to you, O God, even as against our own selves, our kin, whether it be rich or poor, for you are the best to protect us all. Oh Allah, bless us to forever hold strong to the guidance of Allah, to the best of our understanding, to Quran, to the life example of Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to the tasfir and leadership of Imam Wafdi Muhammad, rahim alayhi. Amin.
Amin. Thank you, Brother Imam. Have a good day, everyone.